Make love happen. Hey, real quick before the episode, let me tell you how you can support this podcast. Your lover is tired. Tired of you. Tired of you always having your nose in a goddamn book. Why can't you make eye contact with them once in a while? Why not? You've been together for 5 years. Why can't you just throw a glance their way? Come on, you guys love each other. You know how much there is to know. You read all the time. Read, page after page after page, paper cut after paper cut. Well, you probably definitely have dyslexia. So you're wasting your time looking at books. Your lover's eyes are the windows to realizing you don't have to read books anymore. They're full of love and full of missing you and full of more knowledge than any book that you can read with your eyes can ever give you. Good Idea, as usual, has the solution for you. Go right now to audibletrial.com/goodidea. That's audibletrial.com/goodidea. And you can get a free audiobook right now for free. And when you get that free audiobook, Audible sends some money to our podcast, an episode of which is almost as valuable as 1/5 of an audiobook. Maybe 1/3, 1/90th, 1/69th. Go to audibletrial.com/goodidea right now to support this podcast and to get yourself a free audiobook for free. Let me recommend the Audible adaptation of Neil Gaiman's Sandman comic series. I find the story to be delightful, the sound design to be excellent, and a lot of the voice acting to be sexy voice acting. Get yourself going with some sexy voice acting and finally look your lover in the eye again. audibletrial.com/goodidea. Make love happen. This episode was recorded on June 14th of 2020. And as I'm sitting here about to release this episode, it is August 28th, 2020. Our guest on this episode of Good Idea is Kamijace from the Weekly Cooldown Podcast. The Weekly Cooldown Podcast is a podcast that comes out every Friday and covers the video game news of the week. And Kami is an excellent host and a good friend of mine and a friend of the whole cast and a friend of the world, dare I say. Your friend, probably. I can't decide for Kami, I guess. But based on Kami's general demeanor, your friend, probably. Anyway, we're super excited to have Kami here with us. The rest of the Good Idea crew is here too. We have one hell of an episode for you. Welcome to Good Idea.
Good idea. It's the Morning Joe to your Morning Joe. It's the blue collar to your blue collar. It's the lab coat to your scientists. Speaking of scientists, y'all want to learn something today?
Don't like that.
I'm gonna yuck on that yum.
We're all warm and slippery. Everybody here is slippery. And we're all gonna slide slickly towards all the kids over there. Cause we're all so slickly sliding, slippery babies. We're all slippery babies. I can't.
Look at George the fox. He's slipping and a sliding, swirling on his back like he's breakdancing.
Look at that crack, swirling on his back. He is slipping and sliding like he's breakdancing.
Foxy George, pull your pants up. I can see your crack.
Hey guys, welcome to Good Idea. That was a little opening rap. I can see your crack. Look at that, pants down. I don't know what that is. It was a disingenuous greeting through the lens of a silly comedy. Disingenuous greetings through the lens of silly comedy are a good idea. Good Idea is a brain trust your brain can trust. It is also a comedy podcast where we slide slickly towards the children that are over there. And we also design the creative and actionable solutions to your real life problems. I am Aiden Kinsella.
For now, I'm just G.
I'm the newly unveiled PlayStation 5. What's up?
What's up, PlayStation?
George Diaz. What's up?
Hey, George.
George Diaz.
I'm so. Ooh, I fucked up my joke right off the top. Let me start that
I fucked
again.
up my chords earlier. There's some fuck ups today.
I'm sock-footed Stanley sliding towards you a little spookily. Arms raised like a ghost. I'm also Jeff Richardson. What's up, gang?
What's up? And we have a guest today. This isn't as fun as chanting the word slippery with you guys, but we have a guest today. Before the show, we all chanted the word slippery together, and our guest today.
That's recorded shit.
We're a cult now.
We're a cult now.
Slippery
We're a cult now. Slippery cult. But we have a guest today. Hey, guest today. What's your name?
I am Kamijace. I am the Kamijace. You can call me Kamijace.
It's
Welcome to this very weird place.
I'm into
Welcome to this very weird place. Kamijace. We're over here doing break dancing, taking down our pants, and look at this.
There's
Rap
children
schools
here,
are
Aiden. You
like-
just put those back on.
This is a weird space.
No. Listen, he's got the skills to pay the bills, I think. So
I've got the skills to pay the bills.
He's a better version of Eminem in terms of white rappers.
Mhm,
honestly,
mhm.
should we go there? Let's go there.
Let's go there. I mean, what do I have that Eminem doesn't? Hair.
You're from Illinois instead of Michigan.
Is that where the 8 Mile is?
I think it's 8 miles between Illinois and Michigan that Eminem had to travel to get to Illinois. If I understand
The seat
correct.
of all rap success, Chicago.
Yeah, you'd think Chicago is more about the improv and the comedy scene, but it's really also big with white rappers who get their start at comedy sports.
Mhm. It all goes back to 1937 when Chicago Kyle won the rap freestyle competition.
Dude, Chicago Kyle. Can I hear a sample, Jeff, of some Chicago Kyle rap?
Please.
Yeah, let me just put on my old timey record here on my Victrola. Have you seen that Hitler? He's a real bad guy. And the president isn't ready to send our boys into the sky. That's why we need Rap Master Kyle to arm up and form a band. Sorry, I'm bad at those.
No, it was awesome. That was great.
And let it be
That was
known.
great.
It's the first white rapper. It's
Chicago
it's
Kyle,
gonna be
the
a thing.
first white rapper, way before there was rap.
Way before there was rap, back in 1937, first ever white rapper.
Amazing.
That's
On this day in
straight out of
history.
Chicago. On this day in history. I don't know when this episode's going up. You guys, I've been so bad about releasing episodes in a timely manner at all, but you know what? I think that some of that comes from the what I might call a spiritual realization with the level of impact it's had in my life. Where it's like I really don't actually have to put it out on a schedule if I don't want to. Maybe that's worse for the algorithm. But but fuck the algorithm. I'm a human being with flaws.
Quality over quantity, my dude.
Amen.
Quality over well, exactly, right? So we have all these backlogged episodes, and for a while I really, and I still sometimes, like, I don't like recording stuff when I haven't been editing. We've kept recording things, so that is you know what, willpower victory. Kami, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
How's it going so far? We gave you very little preparation. How's it feeling so far?
You know what? Like any good guest on a podcast should, I've listened to past episodes, so
Whoa.
I was already pretty prepared. So I actually thank you for not telling me anything else, because I would have been overwhelmed with too much information.
Well, I really appreciate that you read the preparatory documents. You brought your slippery stockings, which is good, and donuts.
Yeah, and earlier we met my brother, Slip Perry.
God.
Oh, dude,
Hey,
Slip
Kami.
Perry, cool dude.
Kami, did you lose anything on the beam of light that got you up here, or no?
Oh,
Yeah, when we beamed you up here, are you missing an arm?
do I
or a
bring
leg?
that? Do I bring that up to you guys? I thought there was like an after show, like security guard I speak to, who like, hey,
Well,
There's
it's
actually
HR.
Our
there's a
beam of light,
towel,
our beam of light
ahead.
buffer isn't the best, so we want to make sure early if you lost any limbs or
I
organ
mean,
function.
The arm should be back where you left it. So when you get back, it'll be okay.
okay, so
your
when I
arm should
leave,
still be there.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so we
There will be. Go ahead. Go ahead.
we fix the arm function. So I should be worried though about my feet and legs, everything torso
yeah,
down.
I don't know about that. We
Okay.
haven't.
We don't know about that.
We haven't touched on that yet.
Also, how's your funk?
My funk.
Body
Is your
odor.
funk still funky?
Okay. I thought we meant like the metaphorical jazz funk.
That's what I was thinking. Aiden, I didn't. I just had a shower, so my physical funkiness is down. I hope that's all right with everyone.
That's totally good. There's gonna be a bachelorette style men tell all, thing after this, and you'll get to sort of dish all the hot goss on everything that we did to you during the production that maybe didn't come out the way you expected it to on live TV, or maybe you thought that you were going to be the one and you were going to get married on this show, and that didn't happen, and it was all because of that asshole Deborah, or who was the bachelorette and who didn't marry you.
I don't know.
So I'll get the
reality.
reality show booth, and I'll get to just point at the
You'll get all
camera
of
and
it.
yell and.
Yeah, I don't know if we
Yeah.
told you you'd be on video. We probably should have mentioned that.
Oh
ahead of
boy,
time.
I've got a lot to talk to HR about. Missing
Tommy.
lower torso, or excuse me, lower part of my torso. Now I'm on camera and I didn't know about it. I'm making a list. I'm keeping a list, and I'm checking it twice.
Don't forget the arm. Don't forget the arm.
I see you've
Right.
read the
Those will
Santa
come back.
Claus.
Arm. Just remember to go back to where it was when you got beamed up here. Hey, Kami, tell us about your podcast before we get any further into this podcast.
Sure. So I host the Weekly Cooldown. It is a video game news podcast. It is mostly it is news in that we cover the subject of the gaming news of the week, but it is also a chance to kind of get to know whatever guest or guests I have on at the time, by both getting to know what games they like to play and stuff like that, and also getting to know the gaming news of the week. I've always said you can tell a lot about a person by what they think about news, and I think the same can be said if it's gaming news or pop culture news or whatever.
I gotta tell you, here's why it's important that I mentioned earlier that it's August 28th when I'm recording this. August 28th is also the day that episode 103 of the Weekly Cooldown, Kami's podcast, came out already, actually. I, Aiden Kinsella of the Good Idea Podcast, am the guest on episode 103 of the Weekly Cooldown Commies Podcast. After this podcast, or right now, so you can just subscribe real quick and then get there later, that specific episode is called Facebook Reality Labs, More Apple and Google v Epic with Aiden Kinsella. Back to the show.
Yeah. Is there like a Fox News of video game journalism?
I hope not. I truly hope not. Actually, there is maybe not a Fox News entertainment subsection video games, but there is, there are gamers out there who do similar things to what I do, either on a blog or on a podcast, and their views are not necessarily aligned with mine. For example, and it is, I think, the funniest example I can think of. There is a gamer who has his own news blog. I won't mention it because I don't want people to really go there. But,
it's Alex Jones.
If only.
The legendary gamer Alex Jones.
But he decided during all the Black Lives Matter protests and everything, when companies were coming out and celebrities were coming out and pledging support and saying, we stand with the protesters, he decided to make a list on his, again, gaming news website, finding out which companies and which celebrities, which YouTubers, which streamers were saying that they pledged their support and labeling them all traitors. And it is
I remember that.
It is a list of about 1,000 companies and celebrities, and he has made sure to go through and list them all, what they do, how they contribute to whatever industry that they're in, and then label them and link to the post or whatever where it says that they stand to it, stand with Black Lives Matter. And it just says traitor right next to it. And
so these people are being labeled as traitors because of their crimes for humanity.
Correct. Basically. Yeah.
You got to get on that list.
Traitors to whom?
Traitors to America.
Traitors to the evil people. They're traitors to the bad guys. So I understand. But you say the bad guys, but like there's never been a war that's been fought between two sides who didn't believe they were both exactly right or whatever.
That's true.
I have never been a proponent of capitalism. Even when I was in like the 8th grade and I first learned about communism, my brain connected being taught America was the greatest country in the world, and communism being, in my mind, the best form of government, which we won't get into that, and thought, well, obviously America is a communist country because communism is fair for everybody, not knowing, of course, that communism at a big governmental level doesn't work. At a small level it does, but at a big governmental level,
what?
Communism at a big governmental level does not work.
What?
Aiden, your government isn't very big. It's pretty much just you.
Right. Yeah, no. At a small governmental level, it could work. At like a city level, absolutely. But anyway, my brain equated the two things and was like, well, obviously America is a communist country. So like, I don't know who I'm a traitor to.
That's terrorism.
Knowing that I've always been very anti everything that America actually is.
Oh,
that's
man.
what I was going to ask, G, because I'm like, you're like me, though. Because like when I first heard, the difference being when I first heard about communism, I understood that we weren't communists. But that's okay. That's like an easy mistake to make. When you love America, you assume that they're communist,
Obviously.
Getting back to the video game thing, the problem with
hold on,
using...
I didn't get to say it. I didn't get to finish my sentence. What the fuck?
My apologies. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll go back to the video game thing in just a second. I'm like you, and I immediately was just like, yes, this. I understand that sort of impulse that it feels like it would be, that immediate impulse that it feels like it would be the right thing. But I feel like that's just I feel like in some ways that is a contrarian impulse because of the fact that when you first hear about it, you don't know about how it manages to fall apart in the way that people take advantage of it or whatever. I don't know. But there is that contrarian impulse, I think, is part of why I like communism as much as the impulse to help people. What were you saying, Jeff?
Well, in the
video games,
in the context of video games, this person calling people traitor, you have to belong to the organization before you can be a traitor. Now, I think of people who go into management and don't care about the worker as class traitors. So maybe it's like that. Maybe the video gamer thought that everyone was a part of his or her club, but they're not.
It is vital that I break the fourth wall for a moment to point out that Jeff said video gamer thought.
The video gamer thought.
Make love happen.
I think it's really down to the sauce, as it were. It's very to understand this guy. You have to understand that he's one of those people who uses the word thought like unironically. Like there's internet thoughts, there's celebrity thoughts and stuff like that. There's e-girls, like things like that. So he's very much a part of that kind of circle in the gaming community where everyone else is kind of holding hands and singing la-di-da, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, that song is rooted in feminism and everything that's wrong, and you hate men and you hate me, and therefore you're a traitor. And the rest of us are all like, okay, well, yeah.
Actually, according to Gal Gadot or Gal Gadot, I forget which one it is. We're all singing Imagine. Gal Gadot. We're all singing Imagine.
We're all singing Imagine together collectively, and that's sort of the universal consciousness. Yeah, that's a Buddhist act, right? To connect to the universal consciousness. Just we all sing Imagine together, and forego all of our attachments to anything else. That would be a Buddhist
man.
And everybody loves Buddhism.
Pretty sure Buddhism is on the list.
Pretty sure Buddhism's on the list. Fucking traitor.
Oh fucking man,
traitor. Buddhism is. Hey, did you see at the end of what's the Buddhism book called?
Is there a
Siddhartha.
book? Oh, you mean by Herman Hesse?
Yeah, but I feel I'm not just talking about that. I feel like there's a book.
Just a moment.
What the fuck?
I mean, there's a lot of different books.
Jesus.
But it's so short. It's like the Eightfold Path. It's a pretty short doctrine. There's the I Ching. There's the Tao Te Ching by Mao Tzu or Lao Tzu, but that's what is that called? That's a different religious thing. I don't know.
Taoism, I think.
I don't here. Well, here we're talking out our ass now. Is there's lots of Buddhist texts. Is there a foundational Buddhist text? I can't remember off the top of my head. Is the Bhagavad Gita? Is that a Buddhist text?
That's a Hindi thing.
Oh, you're
or
right.
a sort of post. Yeah, I like that book.
I really need to read that book. I'm sorry. I'm so new to all this, so I still get them all confused.
That one's rad because it's basically Arjuna standing on a battlefield telling this other guy all about
Krishna.
Krishna tells Arjuna like in the middle of a battle about to start, and it lasts like 30 seconds, but it's a conversation that goes on for like a month. It's pretty great.
I think I found the holy book, or at least
What's
what it's
the holy
called.
book?
It's either called the Tripitaka or the Pali Canon, depending on which language.
Ooh.
I have not heard of that. Thanks, Google. Well, anyway, inside that book, it's we know Buddhism is a traitor because inside that book, it's been updated to say Black Lives Matter, and that makes everybody angry.
Man, what are you doing, Buddhism?
A fucking traitor. The reason the Buddhism thing I brought up is I heard the other day that Buddhist texts have to be practitioners of Buddhism in modern day who like teach people about it are supposed to update Buddhism along with science if science ever comes up with something that contradicts a Buddhist idea. The idea that Buddhism would be a traitor, I love.
Okay,
in American history,
Yes.
the most famous traitor, a guy named Benedict Arnold, he basically fought on behalf of Canada and the British against the U.S. And I just heard today that the British And well, Canada actually won that war. So that was interesting.
Canada won that war.
Yeah, so maybe in the context of Black Lives Matter and gamers, we're Canada.
We're Canada. You think?
Maybe.
All right.
I don't know.
I'm okay with that.
Well, Canada beat the traitors. Yeah,
sure. Okay, I'm so lost. Hey, we have a sea of bad opinions to navigate through. Before the episode, we were talking with Kami about possible topics for this episode. One thing we wanted to hit on was the sea of bad opinions and how to navigate through it as you approach whether or not whether or not you want the PS5 or are interested in the PS5.
Yeah. So a lot of what I've seen is based on just video games in general. You know, there's people who are out there comparing Horizon, the new Horizon Zero Dawn game, Horizon Forbidden West, I think it's called, to like the Pokemon Sword and Shield. And I mean, they're two different games, very vastly different based on a number of different things. And, you know, everyone has an opinion. And I always try and respect other people's opinions, regardless of, you know, what political spectrum we're on or what console you have or lack thereof, or et cetera, et cetera. But the amount of, I don't want to, maybe not bad opinions, but negative, right? Like just uninformed, just sad boy negative opinions that just kind of leave the gate as soon as anything is announced, is vast and large and seed-like in nature. And I wish to know how we can best swim towards the light, as it were. Get, you know, like, how do we navigate through them? How do we maybe make ourselves better by reading them and maybe not responding to them? Like, what do we do? How do we do it?
Well, if you're a good idea, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if we're reading a series of negative opinions, one thing we can definitely do is stop, which I know doesn't totally answer the question, but sometimes I think that
it is best to just stop.
Yeah, it's best to just stop.
That's perfect, because I was gonna. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jeff. You were next.
I was just gonna say we like to break it down to its fundamentals before we start really going for it, and so it's good to follow the metaphor. A sea. How do you handle a sea? Well, one of the ways is to stay out of the damn sea. But we talked about navigating, and that kind of requires that you enter it at some point.
Well, but you can navigate around the ocean. So if your goal was to get to the other side of the ocean, hypothetically, if it's an inland ocean, or if you don't have the right mapping tools to be able to see the whole of the ocean from above, which you can't with a sea of opinions, you can walk around the sea of opinions towards the goal without walking through it and still navigate it.
Sure.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
But I was gonna ask, are we just talking about like opinions that are not harmful to anybody?
For the most part, I think.
Okay.
So if we need a little extra context, I mean, I often read the opinions for the podcast, like to kind of formulate my own. And I'm sure a lot of other people go into the replies to, well, you know, let's see what everyone else is saying about the game, or let's see what everyone else is saying about the console, and you know, to try and help them gather some idea about how they may or may not feel about it. Does that make sense?
So you're taking the whole broad sea, but what you brought to us was the navigating it. And so one of our options is to stay close to the coast and work our way around, like going up the West Coast and over to Alaska. But then you still have to cross the Bering Sea. So maybe there's a narrow sea of bad opinions that we just have to go through at some point.
I think in human life, for sure. I mean, people will, if you encounter another person, you're going to think that some of their opinions are bad or harmful or negative or whatever, just by virtue of the fact that no two people are ever going to agree on everything. and that's, so you have to, if you interact with other people at all, let's assume any interaction with another person will involve some wading through some seas of bad or negative or less than or whatever opinions. And G also brought up the idea of like whether it's a harmful opinion or not. And it's like, I don't know how, I think if an opinion is harmful to you, you're allowing that opinion to get into your brain.
To a point. It depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking about, it's my opinion that doctors tend not to listen to women and tend not to listen to women of color even more, that may not be an opinion, that may be a fact. But an opinion could be an opinion that does not match mine could be a harmful one. But for instance, I like beer and my best friend likes vodka. I hate vodka. That's an opinion. Mm-hmm. That doesn't hurt anybody.
Well, where's an opinion that does hurt someone where it can't be solved by just saying, hey, that's just an opinion, fuck that.
That's just
because I understand sometimes when people with platforms have opinions that are directly anti-humanistic, like there are certain opinions that are just objectively harmful to human beings, and then people with platforms that are higher than those of other people, sharing those opinions could be considered harmful.
Yeah, I hate blank is technically an opinion. So if you say I hate blank and you put any sort of like human group in there, that's harmful immediately. And it's an opinion.
Yes, it is. And because words are harmful, but also the idea is that opinion hypothetically shouldn't be harmful. Hypothetically.
Right.
It's a question of,
it's just words. You're right.
It's a question of shoulds, though. The should,
it comes down to the fact that they have a platform, and so saying that and people supporting them after they say that makes it harmful.
Right. I can see that.
And the should is we see human values as a should, right? Black Lives Matter is so important because we should have an equal society. We shouldn't hurt people, which we do in a bunch of bad ways. So it sounds to me like as you cross the Bering Sea of bad opinions, they're either A, hurtful, or B, just woefully uninformed. I'm not in the gaming space, Kami, so I don't know what you see as bad.
I think that's what a lot of it comes down to is...
I can give you an example of a bad opinion in the gaming space.
Bring it on.
Female gamers are just doing it for the attention.
Yep. That is terrible.
It's a horrible opinion.
I don't want anybody's attention while I'm playing my games. I just want to play my fucking game.
Sure.
I don't want to be attacked. I don't want to be flirted with. I don't want any of that just because I have a female sounding voice. I am female, but I am non-binary. I'm not a woman, and I don't want your goddamn opinion or your fucking attention. I don't.
The only attacking I will ever do on a gamer girl is if they're on the enemy team.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, hear me out. Hear me out, though. Now, because I agree with you. That's shitty. That makes me think that most opinions are bad opinions. I'm not gonna. I don't know why I said that phrase because I didn't know where I was going with it. I have opinions sometimes, and every time I have opinions, I feel like those opinions bite me in the ass, no matter what the opinions are. The problem is that it isn't an opinion that Black Lives Matter. That's not an opinion, and so but the opposite is an opinion because it's not a fact. Like any opinion that ascribes a role or a value, positive or negative, to another person is part of approval disapproval syndrome, is connected to racism and to classism and to all of these things. The idea of living in a culture where anyone at all is judged for anything, good or bad, when people are then put into a place where they are acting as something that they understand to be correct rather than acting as something that they are, and how pervasive that is in everyone forever, and how much ego that creates and perpetuates that no one has any control over because it's just part of the fucking culture. And then that always leads me to think that I either want to move out into the woods or move out onto the ocean and start like my own colony or be in a house by myself.
It kind of negates that one again is like staying away from the sea. We're trying to get across it.
I'm saying I'm talking about getting across it. I'm saying we literally cross the ocean and create our own island.
Yeah,
and I'm not the only person who's ever said this. Like
that's
lots
what
of people.
That's what communities are for. That's what safe
Yes.
spaces are for.
that is true. I will say that
shit.
the gaming community, for what it's worth, does have a lot of larger pockets where if anyone jumps in there and says like, hey, you know, I really don't like this game because I think it's about this woman I hate, and everyone's like, listen here, buddy, you can there's the door, like use it, abuse it, and like don't come back, right? We don't need any of that here. And I do that a lot on my show as well. Like, you know, I usually will take the larger story that is someone said this horrible thing and try and formulate not only the guest's opinion and my opinion, but why we hold the view we do. And usually it's like, okay, this guy needs to chill, right? He needs to take a step back and really kind of reevaluate this random thought he spewed into the internet. So it's I will say that like the gaming community does really try to make sure that like no one's kept out of the community. We try to,
which is really nice to see, because I've been gaming since I could pick up a controller, and I used to get made fun of all the time, and I used to get shit all the time, and it's nice to see, because I left the gaming community while I was in high school because I was just so vulnerable at that time that I had to, for my own protection, I had to get out so that I wouldn't do something harmful to myself because of something somebody had said. And re-entering it in college and seeing how much in like 4 or 5 years since I had left it was really gratifying to see, because it's just, and it just keeps getting better. The online community, the gaming community, all of those just keep getting more and more accepting, but also not willing to put up with bullshit.
Absolutely. We do our best. We flex our collective internet muscles together, and we become one giant big dude who's like
one big gamer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, one huge gamer.
Huge
tie it back
gamer
a lot of
with
time
big muscles that crushes every controller. They pick up.
Speaking of bad opinions, I spend a lot of time shouting those.
I heard Jeff about to add something to what we were just talking about. Is that do we want
that's
to take
fine. Go
Jeff,
for it.
Jeff, what were you saying?
I like well, number one, I like hearing from Kami about different ways they're having success at this. I want to hear more about that. One of these ways, the big muscles, giant big muscle, that reminds me of when you're on a boat and everybody's rowing in rhythm. So like maybe there's something to that rhythm. Maybe there's a song you sing.
Absolutely.
Paul!
Paul! Sorry, are you saying Paul?
Paul. I'm not
summoning Paul. I'm shouting Paul.
Okay, because some of us rowers in the back, we thought you were saying Paul.
Sorry. Hey, Paul, I'm sorry.
Paul, I wasn't trying to get your attention, Paul. I'm sorry.
Paul F or Paul S?
I'm talking to... We have 2 Pauls?
We do.
This is like 2 Pauls ocean race.
We also have a Paulette.
Oh, Paulette. Do you...
We also have a Paulette, yeah.
Paulette?
I'm sorry. Gee, what were you saying about the sea of bad opinions?
So I spent a lot of time within the sea of bad opinions because I feel like I've grown...
Because your opinions suck.
I've grown a very thick skin. And so I wade through that a lot and just kind of try and find opinions that are harmful. And I try to find ones that are not written by children specifically. because children are very vulnerable, and I try not to shout them. As an adult, I try not to shout them down. I try really hard not to interact with children if I can help it.
Sure.
Because it just makes me it just makes me feel better about just staying away from that side of the internet. But like, I spend a lot of time wading through that shit and finding comments that haven't been maybe even challenged yet, because I don't want some kid like me, like I was, reading a harmful comment and not seeing anyone stand up for them.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
This is
so I feel like if you can handle reading the comments and going through them, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that, because I think that it's a good act to stand up for someone that may see you defending them without even knowing you.
So
and there's all kinds of, go ahead, sorry.
I just think it's a really nice and like solemn thing to kind of do, just to let people know that you're here for them despite who they might be, or rather, like you don't know them personally, but you know that they're out there and that they need, like, just to know that they're valid. And I like that. I mean,
I get grateful messages on Tumblr. I'm still on Tumblr all the time.
Sure.
Because I stand up for somebody. Like, I've stood up for a community of people, and I get messages from kids, especially. A lot of people will say, I'm 14 or 15 years old, and I know you don't want me following you, so I won't follow you, but I just wanted to thank you for standing up for blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, it's something that I feel is important. You guys are 14 and 15 and you're being attacked for who you are, and that's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like a Navy vessel.
Stand up for yourselves. You're kids, and you shouldn't have to stand up for yourselves. You're kids, and so I'm going to do it.
This sounds like a Navy vessel protecting merchant ships from pirates.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel sometimes.
Navy vessel G, SSG.
SSG.
Slippery slide away from those kids. Get away from those kids. There's so many kids over there in that sea of bad opinions. There's so many kids, and all of those kids need to be defended. And G is going there, but they need to stay away from those kids. We've been talking about their female body. I am sorry. Stay away from those kids. It's a slippery slope. Stay away from those kids. Slippery slide away from those kids, and slippery slide away from the topic of G's female body that I shouldn't have started talking about. Maybe, I don't know, but I had to make an excuse for myself, and I thought it was pretty funny.
Hey G, how do you fight those pirates? Do you have cannons? Do you have swords?
I don't have to fight the pirates. The pirates are on my side.
Oh, I thought you were the Navy vessel protecting merchant ships from pirates.
Fuck, man, I am a pirate.
Is it the gay ear or the pirate ear? Trick question. What were we talking about? G, sea of bad opinions, navigating through the sea of bad opinions. Hold on, I totally had a thing that was so smart. Oh yeah. You were like, it's not necessarily a bad thing to go through the comments because you could go through the comments to protect other people or whatever.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I thought that there was a really smart kernel in that, just the idea in general of like anything that you do with a positive intention. And this is how I try to live, and I feel like it usually works out pretty well. But I mean, I'm also sad a lot, so I don't know. Like, I have no idea if I'm right. But I am also happy a lot, and I feel like I do things that I find value in. But anything that you like, doing everything with just the best intention, and that's like, okay, fine. Because if you're mindlessly scrolling through content on the internet, which I do sometimes, like when I wake up in the morning and I just open Twitter because I did say doo-doo. That's really funny. Doo-doo, guys. That's funny. Sometimes I wake up in the morning, I read Twitter, and I'm like, and then I see a comment that somebody makes about how they wake up in the morning and they read Twitter and they don't know why they do it. And I'm like, damn. Man, good thing I follow writers that are aware of themselves. And I put my phone down. I'm gonna go shower.
That's
But then
actually a really good example. You can keep going, but I have a thought.
Oh yeah, just like just mindless activity. I don't know. I listen to lots of the Duncan Trussell Family Hour now. Gee, what were you gonna say?
You remember when William Shatner stalked me on Twitter?
Oh, wait,
yes,
what?
I do.
What?
That was funny.
What?
Yeah. He boldly went where no one.
So,
What the fuck?
so
It's because she doesn't have many followers.
I made him really mad because he was saying stuff in support of Autism Speaks, and I tried to politely educate him, and he started making fun of me. And I was like, oh, okay, so you want to make fun of an autistic person for trying to educate you. All right, we'll see how that goes. Because he was like, Autism Speaks helps people with autism. And I was like, you don't say people with autism. You say autistic people, first of all. And just kind of went down the route that you usually go down with somebody who doesn't want to fucking listen whenever they're spouting their opinion to actual people who their opinion affects. And I saw nobody else getting any response from him. People were yelling at him and saying shitty things to him, and he wasn't giving those opinions or anything they said a voice. And for some reason, whatever I said, I don't even remember what it was, but whatever I said just pissed him off. It just stuck to him. And so I spent 4 days on Twitter just needling this man, just every single opinion about autism that he had. What?
They didn't block you?
He did not block me. No, because he was like, he thought, I guess, that he had a big dick and that he could handle it. But by the 4th day, he had stalked my Twitter. He had stalked my Facebook. And so I knew that because he thought he knew where I lived, which was not on Twitter at all. And he had been making fun of me for trying to get money for college. But he thought that he knew where I lived because I have Good Idea listed in my jobs on Facebook, and I have it listed as in Illinois because that's where two of the people are, and that's where Aiden is because he's in charge. So like I figured.
Oh yeah, I'm in charge.
It in Illinois.
I'm in charge here.
Yeah, Aiden's like no. But he immediately tagged on to that, and I was like, well, I don't have my location listed anywhere besides where I work. So you definitely stalked my Facebook because it's not listed anywhere else. So it was ridiculous because he is an adult, like a grown man with grandchildren, and he stalked a 24-year-old's Facebook, 23 at the time. And he got so mad, like 3 followers. I think I had 73 at that time. And he, for whatever reason, I don't even have that big of a platform. I don't have a platform at all compared to him. And he had just, he was so upset by what I was saying to him. I guess that I kept challenging him. I didn't back down, even though he was posting screenshots and trying to get receipts and all that stuff. That he stalked me, and I to block him because I didn't feel because I was getting like threats on in my inbox
from like Shatner stands.
From Shatner fans, yeah.
Well, he has like a whole bridge of people that are under his command and a spaceship.
Why are you doing this?
His platform is the Starship Enterprise. He stands on it and it levels itself out, artificial gravity and everything. It's a really cool platform. I'm sorry.
But
okay,
like,
I didn't.
Anyway, that happened. But like he wasn't giving anyone else that kind of attention. And so what I did whenever I pissed him off like that was I diverted his attention from the entire autistic community and the hate that he was giving them to just one autistic person who could handle it. For 4 whole days. And they just had to, all they had to do was watch. All they needed to do was watch me yell at William Shatner.
That was when I knew G was
into his body.
That's when I knew that.
It was very intentional. It was an act of protection for my community. And I do that a lot whenever I see hateful shit. that was the most high profile thing I've ever done, and it really wasn't even that high profile. I didn't get on the news or anything, but like I pissed off William Shatner and he decided to stalk my Facebook. So like
you
I'm
beat
proud.
back Captain Kirk, my friend.
Yeah.
Captain Kirk.
I didn't realize who William Shatner was, so I looked him up, and he looks like right now he looks like an ugly version of Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
Oh my God, George.
That's kind of an insult to Patton Oswalt. Patton Oswalt's a really cool dude.
I love Patton Oswalt. He's great.
But Patton Oswalt's also not ugly at all. Patton Oswalt's like a beautiful human being, and his light shines everywhere he goes, and he's great.
George, if you want to ignore Shatner's bad opinions, just go back to the original Star Trek, because he had a beautiful body and was just a gorgeous man. Great Starfleet captain. But in real life, he's terrible.
He was not really though. Oh, you know what? I've just realized.
Many people.
I've just realized what I said that pissed him off. I've just remembered what I said that pissed him off.
Oh boy.
I told him that Captain Kirk wasn't even that good.
Captain Kirk wasn't even that good.
Yeah, I know.
That's the thing. I mean, Captain Kirk was on a show that was breaking a lot of boundaries and expanding a universe with a lot of cool new ideas in it and stuff. But that doesn't mean Captain Kirk was good.
You'd think that someone on a show that progressive and that, that good, you'd think someone like that acted in that show maybe learned something from being on the show,
something
but
from
apparently
people
not.
who,
Yes,
probably are their biggest fan base, or a big part of their fan base at the very damn least.
Right.
Yes, Kami and George can speak to the gaming side. This is such a huge thing in science fiction, is people wanting their stuff not to be political when they don't realize that their own politics are inherent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually say that on the show.
Star Wars is literally anti-Nazi propaganda. It is literally anti-Nazi propaganda.
I actually say on the show a lot, no matter what media you consume, whether it's video games or
it's just political.
It is. All of it is.
Yeah.
Art is inherently political, man.
Absolutely. And the fact that people don't realize, especially when, by the way, they'll say, stop making Call of Duty political. First of all, you're in a war game. Hello?
Call of
Duty. You're in a pro-war game.
You know what's not political? The Sims. But even The Sims can be made political.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so, if you put somebody in a box that they can't walk out of, it's like, well, that's kind of a human rights violation.
I saw some people.
I've broken so many pieces of the Geneva Code in this.
I love using tear gas on my Sims.
No.
My favorite kill streak in the new Call of Duty is a war crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's white phosphorus.
It's very strange that people seem to ignore the fact that their game, no matter what it is, no matter what game you're playing, even like a racing game, is political. Yeah. There's politics in it.
Well, there's race in that. So
there you go. Racing.
Okay.
Makes you think.
It does.
The cops are the bad guys in so many games.
That is true.
Yeah, and people that don't play these games and run from the cops constantly are like, but the cops are protecting it, and I'm like, no, they're fucking not. No, they're not. What are they protecting?
Look at two of the biggest open world franchises right now.
Fucking
GTA and Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah,
it tells you that people have this obsession with breaking the rules, and they have the safe space to do it. Talk about safe space is Fantasyland. It's like getting to go to Candyland and eat candy all the time, and it would make you fat in the real world.
When you
we want to beat up cops.
They kill you. When you do it, if the cops come for you on GTA 5, they kill you.
Guns.
You don't get arrested in GTA 5. You get killed.
We also kill lots of people in GTA 5 a lot of the time.
Yeah, no, that's true. But
if I may, it's a very small chance that you will get arrested, quote unquote.
Oh, there is? I did not know that.
You have to get
I've never been arrested. I've always been killed.
Because it's so rare. You have to be stuck between a crap ton of cop cars in order to get arrested.
Yeah, one of my favorites was whenever I had 2 helicopters shooting at me, as well as 7 cop cars. That was fun. I had committed a lot of crime.
By the way, Rockstar Games, creators of Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, are on the list for being a traitor.
Traitors!
Hell yeah.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Fucking what did they do? Eat Ben and Jerry's ice cream?
What the fuck?
The other thing is they say, like, these people that are pro cops say, oh, well, the cops are there to protect you. And I'm like, well, where are the cops whenever I'm running people over in GTA 5? They don't show up for a good 20 minutes after I've run someone over.
Very realistic.
Or if you play Mafia 3, which, although not the best game, it does have some really good, like...
Well, the best game is obviously Mafia 4, which has many improvements on top of Mafia 3. And
where?
Yeah, in Mafia 3, depending on which area of New Orleans, or in that case, New Bordeaux, that you commit a crime in, either no cops will show up because they're like, the police operators like, hey, there's a crime somewhere.
That is inherently political. That's fucked up.
If you go to the French ward, like, you know, the whole touristy district, they come at you full freaking force.
Yeah. I have a question. Red Dead Redemption, that's the one about the Civil War, right?
It takes place after the Civil War. It mainly takes place between 1899 and 1912.
So my best friend is playing that right now, and she's been crying.
Yes, that game is Depressed Cowboy Simulator.
Well, she loves it. She loves it so much, and she was like, "This game is so good. I didn't realize how good this game was."
You get to kill KKK members and former Confederate soldiers,
and you get honor for that.
And
she was yelling about
burn
how
down
good
a plantation. I love it.
Yeah, you don't have an option but to kill these horrible people, and she loves that about that game. And people that say, "Oh, well, I don't want politics in my game," I'm like, you are literally. You're calling Black Lives Matter politics and then getting mad about politics in your game. It's because that's not politics. That's human rights.
Absolutely.
Like,
it's funny you bring up Mafia 3 because I said that on a different podcast, I said that everyone should take a moment and play that game specifically. And here's why. I, as a black man, played that game. In Mafia 3, you play as a black man, and you're going up against the Italian mob, basically, in the Louisiana area of the South. It's during a time in which there are still segregation practices in place for blacks versus whites. And I remember, and I constantly recall going into a gas station and suddenly the music gets really tense. The NPC's like, why did you come in here? You best turn around. And I at the time I'm like, holy shit, what'd I do wrong? And it didn't really occur to me after I got a notification on the screen that I was a black man walking into a white-owned store.
Oh no.
And there was a sign in the window that said whites only, and I was like, oh, I was so oblivious to the lack of privilege that you have back then that I didn't even realize I was doing something wrong by walking into a store. So it is I'm of the opinion that if you want to understand race relations even today, you need to go play Mafia 3 and truly understand why people are still fighting today.
I was going to ask, did you keep playing it? Like, that sounds like it'd be hard to play.
Yeah. And then, you know what? There's a part of the game where you have to free a bunch of Haitian people because they're being traded, basically. So there's human trafficking in it too.
That does sound really hard.
Wow.
It was very difficult, but I was like, I can't stop now, and you almost feel obligated to keep playing because you're like, I have to save these people.
I've been there. I read a lot of native literature, and it's very hard for me to read. My best friend is Jewish, and she can't read anything about the Holocaust or watch. She does not consume media about the Holocaust because it's too hard for her.
It's rough.
And I totally get it because I have a hard time consuming media about native troubles at all, but I don't consume stuff about the Trail of Tears because my ancestors walked it, and I can't.
Absolutely.
So like I feel that.
Do you ever feel obligated to, like, not obligated as in
Absolutely.
like you have to? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I feel guilty for loving a white man sometimes, which
That's
is
annoying.
crazy because I can't help who I fell in love with.
Mm.
But I feel guilty because he's British and white, and I'm moving to England, and any kids that I have with him are not going to be connected to their culture as Native American children because I'm going to be their only connection, and I'm planning as much as I can. But I don't know enough because I wasn't connected to my culture because my grandfather left the reservation to protect his family because he was white passing enough that he could pass as white, and so he did. And I didn't find out about my heritage until I was like 12 or 13 years old. And I didn't start learning about it until I was in college. And I felt resentful to him for taking that from me for a long time before I realized that he was doing it to protect his family. And it's frustrating and hard. And I want to teach my kids everything, but I didn't grow up in it. And I'm just now learning about it. And they've accepted me, and they absolutely are family. You know, the Cherokee Nation is absolutely my family and has absolutely accepted me as a person who did not get a connection to my heritage as a child, wanting to learn about my culture. But I feel guilty for wanting to leave, and I feel guilty because it's not, I don't want to leave them. I want to leave because I want to go somewhere that's safer for me and for my kids.
It's got to be hard to deal with that. But also, like, you're under, and you obviously know this, like, you're under no obligation to stay. And I think it's really cool that you've gotten yourself to a place where you feel able to leave.
Yeah.
If I may add something, in terms of my experiences, both in terms of personal and as well as being a gamer, for me personally, I know that, for those who don't know, I am Latino, and for those who don't know, I am some sort of indigenous descent. Unfortunately, after a few generations, I guess my family doesn't really know anymore. Apparently, either my great or great grandfather was on a local Native American council for something.
Was he North or South Native?
What do you mean?
Well,
like Texas, Arkansas.
No. I mean like South American Native, because people that are Latin are usually descended from. So people that are Latin, people that are Latino or Latina, tend descended from native tribes of South America and the Spaniards, who
we honestly have no idea.
Quote unquote conquered them, but the people from North America a lot of us are descended from natives and British and French people who quote unquote conquered us.
My mom's side of the family is from this border town in Mexico called Piedras das Negras, which, fun fact, is the birthplace of nachos.
God bless.
Great.
I love that.
Hell yeah.
So it could be either, because of where you're right in the middle.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
We honestly have no idea. And in terms of something that has always stuck with me in terms of gaming, this one section / sequence / line, I forget what it is exactly, but in Assassin's Creed 3, you play as a half native, half British male protagonist.
Yeah.
And when you first travel to Boston, one of the main locations in the game, with your older mentor, who is an older black man, he tells you not to disclose that you're native, but to say that you're better off passing off as Spanish.
Whoa.
And says something along the lines of what is and what morally aren't always the same thing. Now I kind of want to look at the line because I don't know what it is.
Are there any Assassin's Creed players that are racist?
Oh, definitely.
For sure. Yeah, there are
characters in the game.
No, players. Player in the gaming space.
Talking about like a white guy who goes into Assassin's Creed and only kills the people of color enemies.
Well, where's my Ezio game?
There are people who claim to be allies that are racist. You know,
sure. Well,
because
yes.
everybody has some sort of racism ingrained into them.
Or prejudice.
Because of how this world is.
Mm-hmm.
My bias is to instinctively check my back pocket for my wallet whenever a man walks past me. Ever. And I shouldn't have to do that.
No.
And you don't have to do it, but
I don't have to do it, but it's instinctive. Yeah. Because I fear men, you know, a lot of the time I do. And
which is fair.
Yeah, but it's not fair though, you know?
I kind of agree with, like, I see both sides. It's fair because men are scary sometimes, but also like it's really hurtful to men that they have to feel like people are afraid of them when most of them are not ever trying to hurt anyone.
Yeah, the patriarchy hurts everybody. Yeah.
Right. The patriarchy hurts everyone, and not everyone, like most people aren't like actively trying to uphold it, but a lot of people are upholding it.
And
it also benefits everyone.
Yeah, it hurts me to be scared of men too, you know?
Yes. The only way I can relate to that as a white dude is that I was mercilessly bullied as being like less manly than the other kids or whatever. And so I got called some names that other people, but the difference was I wasn't going to be killed or driven out of every space just because I was a little weaker.
That's how the patriarchy hurt you though.
Right. But for other folks, it's much more dangerous and deadly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you're recognizing your privilege in saying that. But you're also recognizing that it is harmful for everybody.
Yeah, it hurts everybody.
And that's why when people are bullying people on the internet, that's my William Shatner. That's when I jump in and fight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you guys, I have a big question for you. We got a little bit of time left before we got to end this show. Do we want to design a perfect video game?
Because Good Idea has not designed a perfect video game since like one of its first episodes, I don't think.
I would love to do that. Yes.
Let's do it. Okay. Hey,
George has an idea.
Oh, George,
if I may.
Yes.
Actually, no. It's I've been searching for the quote that I was trying to paraphrase, and I found it.
Oh, perfect.
It is. What's it? What's true and what is aren't always the same.
Yes.
Beautiful.
See what you want about that game. That game was
very good.
The Assassin's Creed series is a very, very powerful. It's a very good series.
So our game has to be real. It has to show or teach or embody something that is a truth, like what you were saying about Mafia 3 making you address Jim Crow, or Assassin's Creed making you think about passing.
So far we like games that mean something. I mean, I was reading Scott Dicker's book, and I'm like a little over halfway through it now, the first one, and he was the longest standing editor-in-chief for The Onion. And his first book, How to Write Funny, talks about how the secret ingredient to satire and to sci-fi, which we were talking about earlier, is the very, very simple message, the subtext at the heart of it that never gets stated, but is very thinly veiled, ideally. So in sci-fi and in satire, you're finding a thinly veiled subtext and exploring that. And I would assume it's probably very similar with historical fiction or whatever else. Like in literature, book writing often has to do with finding an internal change that a character needs to make that the character themselves isn't aware of. So the reader then isn't necessarily aware of what that change is. And then we'll go through that change with the character.
So let's do historical fiction.
Do we want to do historical fiction?
Historical fiction sounds cool.
So
I'm always down for historical fiction.
Game. My question is, are we creating the perfect game, or like in terms of popularity, or just in terms of objectively perfect?
That's an important question, actually. I think that this should be an objectively perfect game, which means it does what it does very well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kami, you talk a lot more about games than I do, and probably play a lot more games than I do. George also, and G, it sounds like maybe even you do. What do you guys do? do you guys think that a good video game is a video game, or really, I guess open it to everything? Is anything that is perfect something that does what it is supposed to do in the most effective way possible?
That said,
Yes.
yes, 100%. But that said, I also find perfection in a game that you can break by doing anything.
Like GTA.
So
I enjoy breaking games. I live for breaking games. My
So we
Sims
have a mode.
games have
We have
so goddamn many mods.
Modes and
That's a good.
That's a really good point. Let's table that and make that a mode at the end, where at the very end we'll talk about what it would be like to be able to break every part of this game.
Got it. Cool.
And maybe instead of a Shyamalan twist, we'll each have our own crack.
Our own game breaking thing.
Yes.
Well, then it's got to be open world as well.
Open
Yep.
world.
Yeah.
Open world.
The
Like
open
Red
world
Dead
is perfect.
Redemption.
I agree.
Or
Open
Grand
world
Theft
game
Auto.
is huge.
I've also got an idea. Now, perfect game is open world. Perfect game also maybe has side quests because
Oh, you
I
gotta
don't know
have
about
side
you
quests.
guys. I don't know if any of y'all play The Sims, but I get bored with The Sims relatively quickly if I'm not doing a challenge.
Yeah, that's me with Minecraft.
Yeah.
Okay,
So this is going to be a game that does open world really well, right?
So I have an idea.
that's what it's doing.
Jeff, go ahead.
I have an idea. You pick a time period where people think they know what it was like, but it was really totally different. And so that's why I immediately
Victorian.
went to the Old West, and like where you'd have like most cowboys were people of color, like Buffalo Soldiers were out there, you know, Little Bighorn was happening. It might be really heavy, but the two games you talked about are really heavy. So I think, you know, maybe that suits our strengths.
We've talked about cowboys a lot though lately.
That's true.
So I would push us away just for an exploratory as a group of people doing things together. I would push us away from doing this one about cowboys. But that is very interesting.
Fun fact, Jeff said something about cowboys at the same time I said Victorian, and those are the same time period.
Wow.
I always
I
thought
actually
you could
did not know that.
So then let's redefine how what open world means.
Open world.
What is this time period? You can go anywhere.
To make a cowboy, but I would also like to make a Victorian lady who falls
So
in love
can
with
I
cowboy.
be a-
Can I play, if it's an open world game, can I be sitting at my house and pick a starting location and like a starting vocation or whatever? Like I'm a level 1 cowboy, or I'm a level 1
Victorian era
lady.
Covered lady.
covered lady.
Would be the name
Victorian
of that
covered
class.
lady. Yep, got it.
Victorian covered
So we
lady.
need to pick a setting. We can either do what it sounds like
The
you're
setting's the whole
suggesting,
world, Jeff.
which is different time periods at the same time.
Well,
the
that
whole
too
world
could work.
We could do
Well,
5
based
cities,
on-
maybe.
We could do 5 cities. Can I hit you with something, Jeff?
Yes.
Have you played
yes.
Breath of the Wild before?
Just a tiny little bit.
Okay. Breath of the Wild, I believe. Wow, I really slurred that out of my mouth. Breath of the Wild, or Legend of Zelda: Stink of the Link, as I also like to call it. There's a new version coming out soon-ish. I don't know how soon, but my friend Dimitri and I keep talking about it, and we're both crazy excited for it. I have not played a ton of open world games, but from the reviews that I've read and from having played Breath of the Wild, I know that as an open world game, there are a lot of things that Breath of the Wild does that many open world games don't do as successfully as Breath of the Wild. That I think that we could pull into it, including Jeff. I like your idea of like 5 cities as opposed to doing the whole world, because when I said that was a little ambitious. So I don't know I don't know how many cities it is. If it's 5 or 6 or
it's got to be anywhere that 5
pounds.
It's got to be anywhere that 5 dimension hopping 1890s people would meet. I'm thinking Cairo.
So I don't know a lot about other countries during the Victorian/cowboy era, but I do know quite a bit about America during that time, and I know that America was manifesting its destiny.
America
AKA becoming
was
an imperial
manifesting
power.
its destiny.
America really liked
George,
expanding
hold on.
during that time.
George,
and
hold on a
people were
second.
moving a lot.
I don't know what George means by expanding imperial power. America was manifesting its destiny.
slowly becoming an imperial power.
No. It was maybe that's the words you use.
I think we need to define our terms.
You're wrong, and that thing that you're saying is un-American.
America was manifesting
God.
its destiny.
George is a traitor, obviously.
George is a traitor, and G is a native, and G says that America was manifesting its destiny.
And I'm sorry.
I'm gonna have to listen to the native on this one that does know more about their past. George, I'm sorry. I know that this is part of the problem. I know I'm being part of the problem right now. But America was manifesting its destiny during that time, and I really think that is a good location for a game to take place. So maybe you can go to like Victorian England and also America.
We could go the Rockstar approach and just have a mishmash of different
Oh, yes.
regions.
He squeezed a bunch of regions together.
Because in Red Dead Redemption 2, it goes from like the American Southwest with New Austin to like a very, very small version of Chicago.
So we need a
to
California
New Orleans.
type with the missions and all that, and the way the Spanish and the British interacted with natives. You'd have like an Old West. You'd have maybe a Mexico, a Florida even.
Mexico during the 1800s was very turbulent and very, very, very much. We're starting a war now.
Sounds like a perfect setting for a video game.
Yes.
Great setting for a video game. We got lots of stuff in it. Different cities all mashed together. Rather than having weird like portal hopping stuff, we just have this sort of 1890s aesthetic era time. We have the culture is different in the different cities that you go to, and these cultures are sort of at war with each other. It's sort of micro. This small island nation is sort of a microcosm of the whole world, I guess. And so we have all these American cities. We have some the Victorian stuff. We have some other places that I'm unfortunately less educated on because the school system didn't educate me on them, and because I have not done my own research. And so we got this open world. What mechanics about Zelda, other than just the fact that it's that it's good, do I like? I like the physics in it. I think that having a really strong physics engine, I don't know if it's hyper realistic or if it's just really consistent or what. But when I play Zelda Breath of the Wild, I feel like I have a very strong command over my ability to move around on the map and to do things when I need to do things.
Yeah, I really like realistic physics in games. Now, that said, as I said before, I am a game breaker. So I really like breaking the realistic physics.
I also really enjoy that. When I used to play TF2,
I'd put the anti-gravity on a lot.
Yeah, that's
so. You're one of those people who froze the rock in Breath of the Wild, then spun around, hit the rock a few times, put a log in front of the rock, positioned your shield so that you're crouching a little bit, and then as soon as the rock was ready to fly, instead the log flew you all the way to the next city. In the course of such, you demolished 10 little enemy settlements. Gained a +5 to your health, and also found a Korok while you were doing all of that.
Wow.
That's what you're trying to do. So we want that ability.
Oh,
absolutely.
We didn't even go into character creation.
That's what
my favorite perfect game has character creation that Monster Factory would enjoy.
I agree.
Lots
but it
of
also
faces.
has to
Have character creation that has what's it called?
Big sliders.
Every single option, every single thing has an option.
So we have to come up with character
I just
classes.
want good tan skin options when it comes to character creation.
Yes.
I don't want Fallout 3 in New Vegas.
It's all about
tan skin
manifesting.
looks fucking orange.
It's all about
This game is
manifesting
all about
destiny,
manifesting
right?
destiny.
So you have
that's true.
a black cowboy, maybe. Wounded Knee happened in 1890. You could have a Native American, like a
Is Black
Lakota
Cowboy
that
one of the
survived it.
classes?
It could be. I mean, maybe you'd pick your color or whatever, but that could be like a part of the role playing.
You can pick cowboy or black cowboy.
The United Mine Workers were begun in 1890. So you could do a union thing.
That's good. If you want your character to have more testosterone, you can be a cow man.
Ooh. Yes.
Or a bull boy.
Really,
Oh,
whichever
boy.
you'd
Oh,
like
boy.
to call it.
That might be going down some deeply gay territory there.
Yes,
Yeah,
a gay
that's
rodeo
That's what makes a perfect
expert.
game.
That's
Deeply
true.
Gay
Yes.
territory.
That's why the word gay is in the word game. Duh.
Yeah, AYM.
Let's discuss combat. Kami, what's the best?
Video game you've ever played for combat, or like top three? Top three.
Well, I'm gonna put Breath of the Wild on there too because I really did enjoy the combat.
It's so fucking good.
It
Very
really
good.
is.
Fucking best.
Some really fluid combat I got was from shoot, what's that game? Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice has very fluid combat. It has one of those systems where if you dodge or if you block at the right time, you get a little like extra hit in on the enemy. I always really enjoy those kinds of things. You know, MMO combat's always really simple to learn too. You have a couple skills, you press a couple buttons, and you know, the RPG elements really help there too. So it's a mix of like fluid combat with some upgrades or some pluses when you do certain moves, like clashing with an enemy, or if
Can
you
we
time
ban
your shot
jumping?
right.
Can we ban super jumping during fights?
Oh, not that.
No, because jumping
gotta
during
have the
fights
drop
is one of the most fucking fun.
What if you're
what?
jumping character?
What if you're playing as Frog Prince Lilypad in this game?
And you're really good at MMA and big jumps.
Yeah.
Can Frog Prince Lilypad be like a Darth Maul sort of secret extra downloadable character?
Yeah, if you
I
jump
thought
into
we
the
had already
right.
established that he was.
Oh, if we're gonna do this, it's the 1890s. There's guns. We're gonna need
Yes,
gunplay.
there's guns.
Oh
There's
yeah,
gonna need to be
absolutely,
gunplay.
gunslingers.
Can I pick? I want this to be the kind of open world game where I can pick up a trash can lid off the top of a trash can.
Yes.
And like BeamNG.drive
Oh.
level, like everything is physically,
Yeah.
it has physics like to it.
Like I want to be able to pick up a trash can lid, and if the game understands that I've picked it up because you can pick up anything that your character is capable of lifting, and the game understands you can lift it because it understands how much it weighs, and it understands what would happen if a bullet hit this trash can lid at a certain angle. Whatever.
Absolutely.
So I mean, there's like some
Things
like
are
PUBG
tool.
was pretty good at gunplay. I feel like what, Jeff?
Everything's a tool.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's a tool, and that's the Jeff. You mentioned we got to make classes, and we were struggling with like what kinds of classes to have, because there's really big questions. Like, do you just have the cowboy with different skin colors, or is Black Cowboy its own class? These really big questions. Can we avoid that if we don't have classes at all? And I don't know if we want that or not, but I know that something that I really appreciate about Breath of the Wild, and I've been playing Minecraft Dungeons lately. Or we talked about the MMO combat with the RPG elements, where I guess if you have a class, that's part of an RPG. But you can do the RPG elements and sort of create a class by combining different pieces that you find.
Yeah.
Oh,
Could you do
okay.
something
Yeah.
Okay.
You start out as a let's
naked
call it
boy.
a naked boy.
Or an equivalent of another gender or whatever.
I love that very much. You could also start out as a baby.
Yeah.
Oh
Totally, you could
no,
start
out-
I hate
It's kind of
that.
like in Civilization, you can start out like ancient era, classical era is like baby,
that
teen, like
changes the
different-
game. That changes the game completely. That takes it out of historical fiction to like strategy, like Civilization
Slice of
5.
life, baby
Jeff-
strategy.
Jeff
I think
is
it should be between
getting some
1890
really
and
good
1900.
ideas.
You could be a woman suffragette. You could be a union
Jeff
worker.
is putting some really good ideas in here.
And it's all just like you say, you just pick like, you know, that part when you're making a D&D character and it's just like a backstory thing and you pick 1 through 6 or whatever. You could just pick a bunch of backstory things and that makes your character.
But it also sounds like you're tying your character to the world. So it almost sounds like you want to have this be a large historical fiction open world video game MMO where everyone not only is a character or a part of the world, but they are like key figures in moving the world forward.
Oh, not necessarily. I like Zinn's History of the United States, which talks about the bulk of people, like the demographics, just ordinary folks, you know? That's what Red Dead Redemption is like.
A KitchenAid blender or like a nice oven mitt. The normal people.
Yeah. Or the one guy who doesn't like KitchenAid and buys Frigidaire instead.
Buys Frigidaire instead. You could be that guy. It just depends which background you pick in the game, right? In the
we're a Frigidaire family.
Yes, we're a Frigidaire
family here. The fucking
design revolution hasn't taken, the industrial design revolution hasn't taken place yet. So there is no easy home care solution yet. Here's the
Are there any win conditions in an MMO RPG?
So I was just about to address that,
but we started doing bits. I want to ask a question, because this game, it's supposed to do its one thing very, very well. Something that Breath of the Wild does also, aside from just the combat and the physics, that I really love, is everywhere you go, it lights up the dopamine centers in your brain by showing you new areas that look like something you've never seen before. So like, for the same reason that hiking or journeying through the woods, especially because this is a game about manifesting your destiny, and it is an MMO, whatever, all these different things, I think we take a Highlander approach to the win condition. All the players can play, and I'm not the first person to suggest this ever in the world, but it's like Highlander, like PUBG, like whatever else that's like, I'm not original.
This is Karate President.
Alongside.
What's up?
You want to get to the top like Teen Karate President.
Like Teen Karate President, you want to get to the top. I mean, not even necessarily that you want to get to the top. It's, you want to find all the other players that are playing the game, and you're constantly running from them. So any sort of bulk of America that you are, or big historical figure or whatever, it all also comes along with the fact that this is just a video game.
And so
I hate that it becomes a colonialist like death enterprise.
This game would be great because it would just be a sort of open world murderscape. That would be based on lots of different cities and places, and because of the fact that it is a video game where your seeking is rewarded and your understanding of the physics are rewarded and your understanding of the combat system, which seems to be something like it would be good if it was highly fluid and like it had lots of options but not too many options, and all, and also if you got rewarded for paying attention and being in the moment when you're doing the combat.
So the whole thing is,
go ahead.
You seem to have described an open world wait a minute, an open world battle royale shooter in which the classes are somewhere between cowboy and women suffragette. And not only are we...
If murder's involved, they all have to be secret criminals or like agents of foreign powers, like CIA type shit.
In this battle royale murder scenario, but at the same time, we are also accepting quests from people in our cities.
Yes.
You got to make money somehow.
I actually kind of like this idea.
Old-timey Highlander.
You have to do the quests without getting killed by the other people that are playing with you that are also doing quests. So it has that MMO, and on this, maybe I've never played RuneScape. Maybe this is just like what RuneScape is. But like the idea of like running around and doing your quests in this big open world where you're rewarded constantly by finding new things and meeting new people. And you can run into other players who can try to kill you and take all your stuff.
and take over your missions and manifesting their own destinies. Assume your personality. No, but
for real, like you could do all these things,
that's a great
but there's not
subtitle.
much personality
to assume, because there's not much to do in the game other than to like do the fetch quest missions or whatever they are, but also to navigate around and to survive in this land where everyone is trying to win and have the most and best stuff. And the reason people would do that would have to be because the combat and the quests and the PvP is
I think
something
it has
engage
to be a
in to
perfect
make the rest
game.
of the game better.
To be a perfect game, it has to have a absolutely top-notch one player campaign, and then a cooperative mode.
Okay, well, does that work inside? That should work inside this open world. I mean,
Mhm.
if you
Mhm.
but if you can do it in the one player mode, the focus shifts from being. I think we're because we're talking about gunplay and stuff, so I got kind of into that idea. But there should be swords too, and all.
So how do we reward in the
swords.
single player mode, I guess?
Oh, I just heard swords. Go on.
Oh.
Some games do have a single player campaign that focuses on one character, and then a separate a campaign or multiplayer mode that opens up the rest of the world or the rest of the story to kind of allow you to tell it how you see fit.
There could be clans too all over the world.
Oh, for sure. What if
Hear me out here.
Hearing you out.
the when you turn on your Wi-Fi, the single player game and the multiplayer game are exactly the same games, but when you turn on your Wi-Fi, people begin to be able to universe hop. And so the when you take on a character in this world, you're taking on a body that fits into a role that is based on all of its like thousands and thousands of different generated understanding. Like we could feed this thing tons of books
And like essentially have an AI.
That's what I was about to say.
Make a
different story, backstory for each of the characters, and then put them in with NPCs or robots that have similar stats or whatever that makes the family for you, puts you into play. But once you turn your Wi-Fi on, people can dimension hop and they walk into your world, and then whatever, if there's like an NPC house that person was living in their world, it gets replaced with that person's house. So kind of like an Animal Crossing island, right? Everybody has their own house that all kind of looks the same and they all function the same. And then you can go to each other's places and take things back from each other's places. We can use that Animal Crossing crossover you also get like a house and a home space, and like the idea of clans or communities, you could build that up. Either with NPCs or with other people, but the single player game is just to do the side quests and to meet the NPCs, and then turning on the Wi-Fi lets other people do the side quests in the same world as you. And the reward for turning on your Wi-Fi is being able to have that combat that you could, and there should be roaming NPCs for combat too, that are also on quests or whatever.
So,
manifesting their destiny.
The whole idea of this game, I think, is to eliminate the need for any other game, right?
Right? I mean,
So
well, it's basically if it's simulation
the perfect
theory.
game, it eliminates the need of any other game. You can play it any way you want.
You can play it as Crazy Taxi, or you can play it as friggin' a battle royale, or you can play it as a simulator like Second Life.
As soon as
you turn the internet on, you are open to getting totally murdered.
That is,
and there are roaming NPCs that will totally murder you. So there are NPCs that act like other human beings do by like amiibos on Super Smash Brothers.
Okay, I resonate with that. Okay, I'm into it.
So the more people play the game, the more the game has data about how to be you and how to make the NPCs more real.
Okay, let's everybody
is manifesting its own destiny.
Okay, if I were to pick a character, I would be
Manifest Destiny.
Oh, that's fucked up. I hate it. If I were to pick a character, it would be a union mine worker organizer down in California somewhere, or like fake California in our world. And I would also be a servant of a secret shadow America that's better than the real America.
That's a huge part of the game that we haven't even talked about yet.
Secret America.
It's hidden in the code is the secret shadow America that's better than the America on top.
Question.
That's the
Lizard America.
The Lizard America. If I was going to pick a character for this game, I would be roving, a hot lady with a motorcycle. Is roving the right word? Is for going around places?
Yeah.
I don't know
either.
Well, no, but I'm not am I roaming if I'm on a motorcycle? I don't know. Is roaming a word that indicates walking?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just wandering in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe it is. I'd be a wandering sexy lady with a badass motorcycle, and I'd have a cool set of weapons that I could use to get into great hand-to-hand combat with dual wielding and good long ranged or medium ranged combat, because long range combat is difficult and close range combat is scary with guns. So I'd rather do it with knives.
If I may interject.
Yes, of course.
I think our perfect game is actually just a better version of Ready Player One.
Oh,
well, Ready Player One is just simulator theory, basically, right? I mean, I haven't watched Ready Player One yet. I really should, because my friend Matt gave me the download code to watch the movie. I have not watched.
Ours is all one property though, so we don't have to pay licensing fees.
That's the point. It's all original characters and original content. It's not like tracers up in here.
Well, the original characters and original content could be based on like a Jane Eyre novel, though.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Anything in the public domain. And it's 1890,
yeah, well,
so
it's from 1890, so it's public domain.
Yeah, everything is public domain.
Like, it's perfect. The other thing is, though, too, is we could go in and add some of our own coding things that I think would, or maybe this would just spring naturally out of the game following people's patterns. But like the Florida part of the new Pangea. New Pangea, America, Manifest Destiny, Florida part. It would be. I like the idea that Florida would be like a lawless hellscape, even more lawless than the Florida would be. And
is one of the classes Florida
would
man?
have its. Well,
yes.
There aren't classes. Are there classes? Because that's what we had. I
think that's right. We went classless.
No classes. We just have all these different.
But you you'll get a nice stat boost depending on what like state you're from. So
well, you get for sure.
I like that.
If you start in Florida, you get dubbed Florida man.
Mm-hmm. You get Gator as a skill.
Correct.
Gator is a really good skill to have in this game because there are gators in all of the different places.
All of them.
Yeah.
Even
they got out.
Even in the sewers in New York.
Yeah, sewer gators.
In the dresses of the Victorian covered women. You know, there's gators everywhere. Gators everywhere. Gee, if you were going to pick a character in this game, who would you be?
Is this historical fiction a realistic historical fiction, or is it just?
It's slightly absurdist.
I mean, we are trying to murder each other for our secret factions, so.
Well, that's real.
I think I would be a white passing native women's suffragette who
dual classic
who murders the other suffragettes when they express that they only want votes for white women, and then starts my own suffragette movement with all the people of color.
Yeah, murders racist suffragettes.
I'm into it.
Kami, how about you? Who would you play?
Let's see. I'd probably be one of those like fast talking salesman who tries to sell everyone like snake oil and
amazing.
This sugar will definitely cure your polio.
You got a Nigel West Dickens over here.
And but that's my day job, and by night I sneak into I call it a rat cave, and I don a completely different costume, and I'm a vigilante.
Like a superhero or like a Zorro?
No, I am a normal, let's call him Bruce Bane, and I just, roam the streets of New York by day. Hey, buddy, you want to buy some sugar for your polio? And when that doesn't work out, or maybe it does, and I dupe someone out of a bunch of, I don't know, rubles, or what's our currency? Rubles.
Rubles.
Yeah.
For your polio.
In this alternate universe, one of the colonial powers is Russia.
There you go. And we use rubles now. And so I take my rubles back to my rat cave, and I put on my rat costume, and I go and fight the bad guys, whoever they may be, including, I assume, the mob in the 1890s. There was definitely a mob then.
The mob was doing all sorts of shit with the protection rackets and all that. They're like, hey, you give me $20 and I won't shoot you.
Oh, they did.
That
one of their schemes was rat races.
Yep, and I don't like that. My parents were killed by a rat race.
Oh, yeah. That's when a character's parents are killed by a rat race, that's a good motivation for them to manifest their destiny on.
Absolutely.
I looked it up, and the Mafia actually formed during the 19th century, but they were called just like more so like private armies, I guess.
Okay,
private armies.
I like those even less. So
it's the Gilded Age, so there could be corporate.
Is a slippery slope towards copyright. It's a slippery slide. Here comes Roos Rain. Oh, look, Raggy, it's Roos Rain. Raggy, it's copyrighted. Roos Rain, Raggy. Scooby-Doo meets Batman. I meant Ratman. See, I told you it was a slippery slope.
Guys, I found out that in the 1890s there were railroads everywhere.
There were railroads. That was the best part. That was like a huge deal because before the 1890s there weren't railroads everywhere. What?
That's not still true. It's deeply unfortunate that that's not still true.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep seeing this thing about a big train that they want to build all over America instead of the police. Which
it's the train department.
Public transportation instead of the police.
Amen.
Hello, this is the train department.
That's what
is your emergency?
For, right? That's what the cars are for. The police are there to take people who are tired of driving out to jail so they can rest.
Yeah, correct.
So they can rest. George, who would you play as in this world?
I would play as a Mexican revolutionary that kills people who are against the mixed race Latinx population.
Something I'm getting out of this is that there's not enough representation in current video games.
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that I'm a black man.
Guys, Kami's a black guy, and so if we said anything offensive throughout this episode, it's fine.
It's fine because
it's fine.
And now
there's at least 3 people who would have called them out on it.
He said it's fine, so it's fine.
I said it's fine, so it's fine, and Kami's still here, so it's fine, and it's all fine. Another thing I noticed is that we all picked characters that would obviously have my character didn't necessarily have specific hardships. I just kind of wanted to be cute and drive around on a motorcycle with some sexy weapons.
I dig it.
I love it. Backstory though.
I mean, that's what you do in
backstory.
I do have a tragic backstory, but that's the thing is that when you select all the things that I selected, I guess when you play the video game, you would just select the pieces of your backstory and you'd end up where you end up. When you select all the stuff I selected, you end up being a sexy lady with some sexy weapons on a sexy motorcycle.
The question is, why is she roaming, and wandering?
Well, that's I guess that is a good question. I guess she hasn't found she hasn't found comfort anywhere and doesn't think she ever will. So she goes. That's what Doctor Who is about too, right? That's a good
She's Doctor Who.
She's Doctor Who.
Her motorcycle goes through dimensions.
Her motorcycle's the TARDIS, and it drives through it back to 1890 and through these different cultures that are all next to each other, where they wouldn't be in the real reality. We all picked characters for the most part that would have challenges or whatever, or things that are really, really difficult in their lives. A lot of you did. I really think I was the only person that didn't necessarily pick a character that had so many specific challenges. But that's an interesting thing to me because we get to simulate this video game, right? A wish fulfillment device or an escape or whatever. And we still want to escape into something where there is a polarity for us to fight against because that's desirable.
We all need signature weapons.
We said the game was absurdist, right?
We need mods too.
I want one of those giant swords that doesn't look like it should be able to be lifted.
Oh yeah, like
Major cloud energy.
Buster sword.
Buster sword. All right, what about you, Kami?
I'm gonna go in the same vein, but mine is a wrench.
Ratman and his
Just a
trusty
giant
wrench.
Yep.
I once had okay. When I was in
high school, when I was a freshman in high school, I started a band and we called it Batman Has a Wrench.
and that was my name. That was my name for the band. That's not even a bit.
It was a shitty band. We never did anything. We collected money for pizza once and never ordered it, and I kept the $10 that were there.
I love it.
It wasn't enough money for pizza. I mean, it just
Well, and no one ever asked for it back, and I didn't know who'd left it at my house, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to ask everybody because it's too much.
so Ratman has a wrench. I really
Ratman has a
think
wrench.
There's
It's a weird sort of a psychic connection to that. George, what's your signature weapon?
Some sort of always on fire repeater rifle.
yeah.
Hell repeater rifle.
Hell's repeater.
Ow! Ow! This is burning my hands. Ow! Fuck! Ow!
So we've broken the physics already. I see.
Oh, got to. Got to break the physics.
We're broken the physics.
I mean, because we're kind of magical Highlanders, so we got to have a few weird physics things, plus all the weird mods.
Yes, Jeff. What's your weapon?
What's your signature weapon?
I'm a union organizer, so I need to have something I can hide. So I think I have
mightier than the sword.
I think I have an old kind of Colt revolver that's small enough I can fit in a shoulder rig.
Colt 45 and 2 zigzags. Baby, that's all we need. It's a slippery slope to go shoot some folks because we're smoking weed.
Thank you very much.
Manifest destiny, killing people and having a bad time. My signature weapon on my motorcycle would probably be it's got to be my 2 knives that are they're really badass. They're like long and they're made of this metal that's like it's a super dark metal. It's really dark. I don't know if that makes it stronger or just cooler looking, but you know when you buy metal and it's like black metal?
Yes.
It's like totally they painted this or something, but like it's sexy as fuck.
That's the kind of metal I'm talking. Just dual knives. Okay, that's it. That's a perfect video game. It's got absolutely 0 holes, and it does everything that we said that it does exactly the best that it possibly can, which makes it perfect. On the way out, instead of a Shyamalan twist, we're gonna all talk about what we would do to break the video game, I suppose. But before that, what was everyone's favorite idea of the episode?
Great question. They were all so good idea.
Mine was one that we didn't actually mention out loud, but one of Jeff's suggestions for like classes or characters was a Hawaiian person under the rule of the Queen Lilo.
Oh yeah, I said in the chat.
Kalani, I think is how it's pronounced. She became queen in 1891. And that is a very cool character concept.
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna go all the way back to our discussion about the bad opinions, and I think one of the best things you can do, despite it feeling at times kind of hollow, because I know I beat myself up about arguing with people on the internet, but to G's point, you definitely should still kind of keep up that fight on the internet, simply because if you're not going to change the mind of someone, you could at least signal to other people that you are there and you are, doing your best to make sure that they are heard and they are valid, and that like some douchey McDoucherson on the internet is not dominating the conversation with bad opinions.
Absolutely. That said, if you don't have the energy to do that, don't do it. If you cannot do that, if you don't have the wherewithal, like the battle
don't do it at all if that isn't the thing that you really want to be doing, because you're gonna fuck it up. You're gonna fuck it up.
Aiden, don't be mean.
I'm not being mean. I'm saying that no one should do anything that isn't the thing no one should ever be doing anything that isn't the thing that they really would like to be doing, because there are certain things that people need to decide that they like doing, and that's another part of that. But if you're not going to do it well, just don't fucking do it. And you're not going to do it well if you don't want to do it. So stay away. Who else has to pick a favorite idea?
I wanted to piggyback on that because for me, I don't wade in as often as other folks, but when I do, I go all in. And so I just wanted to support the idea of being like G's pirate ship and ramming speed into those little bastard ships and standing up. I think it's really important.
Shit all the time.
I tend to only wade in against racism and just blatant idiocy.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying
those two things
totally do it.
What I'm saying is those two things spark me. So any trolls out there, if you wanna come at me with that business, I will protect the innocent by getting shot at by racists. But I try to keep it positive. And I think that's important. Maintain your positive attitude, even when you're fighting the enemy.
I think Jeff, I think you do it respectfully. I just thought it was funny because you're like, I don't do it as often as other folks. I'm like, I don't know many people who.
I haven't lately on Facebook. I just said,
no, not on. It wasn't an insult, and it's not just on Facebook. It's on Twitter too, man. It's everywhere. It's on all social media. Social media. I just think social media is evil. George, what's your favorite idea of the episode?
My favorite idea of the episode is when we discussed how games can tackle like heavy topics like racism and representation and stuff like that. It was awesome.
Yeah. I love that. That's I'll piggyback off that, I guess. And my favorite idea of the episode is the importance of stories for making people feel the power that they need to in their lives, and how important just like media is in general for the human brain and how it contextualizes the world around it. Hell yeah! How does anyone have anything to plug?
Me, the guest.
Yeah, the guest. Do it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So once again, I'm Kamijace, host of the Weekly Cooldown Podcast, a gaming news podcast where we get to know the gaming news of the week, and we get to know our guest. Episodes released every Friday. That's all I got, I think.
I did an episode with Kami. One of the bonus episodes on the Weekly Cooldown was with me, and it was such a freaking delight. And George did an episode with Kami once.
Yeah, it was one of the episodes before the bad times happened.
Yes.
Oh yeah. G, Jeff, George, anything to plug?
No. I mean my Twitter, but you guys know that by now.
I
still get to plug it.
It's G_the_B. I am currently banned on Twitter for calling J.K. Rowling a transphobic C word. I'm not going to say that word out loud.
Freaking legend.
You can say it. You can say. I'm not saying you have to, but you can. It's okay.
I got banned for calling J.K. Rowling a transphobic cunt. She's also anti-autistic, which is a whole other thing, and I'm real mad about that. She thinks that autistic people are confused about their genders, which is really pissing me off because I am confused about my gender, but not because I'm autistic. So I hate her, and I'm banned on Twitter right now. So I'll be back soon. So that's where you can find me when I'm back.
Highly recommend.
Be back by the time this goes up.
But it's still badass. The reason they got kicked off. George, Jeff, Twitters.
I'm at El Jefe Tacoma. I do a bunch of stuff. I just wanted to say that Breonna Taylor's family did a GoFundMe, and when I donated, I realized that it had like gotten 6 times what they asked for. And like, there's all kinds of funds out there for bails for people, and just anything you could think of. Just do a little research, find out which ones are working properly. But
you can probably find some master threads out there.
Yeah. There's so many smart people out there. Just do whatever you can. Now's the moment to stand up and support people. So that's it.
You can find me on Twitter at ReadySetFire123. Yeah, sometimes I tweet. Most of the time I just retweet stuff.
Fuck yeah. Okay. You guys, everyone has 10 seconds to say what they'd do if they could break the game in any way they wanted to.
I would jump so high in the air that the game around me would have trouble buffering, loading, whatever the fuck that's called.
That's a really high jump. So high even Jeff wouldn't want to have combat with you. Jeff, how
whenever in Minecraft you are up so high in the air and you're flying really fast towards an area and it like all is white and then it slowly comes into view, like, and
then the time stretches out longer than it was back on Earth, so 10 seconds becomes 30 seconds. And
yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
Jeff, what would you do?
I don't know if this is wrong or breaks rules of consent or whatever, but just a game in the single player mode where the NPCs, every single one of them thinks you're hot, I think would be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool. George, how about you?
Except the kids.
2 words. God mode.
God mode.
So if George could break the game in any way possible, he would break the game in every way possible.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I would build my house in an out of bounds area so that no one could get to it.
Shit.
That's good. That's really good.
That's really good. So what if you like built your house in the year 1900?
Wow. Just built it in an entirely different game.
A different era. Yeah, just a different sort of time period. That'd be cool. I don't know. Just a thought. You guys, this was a fun podcast. Thank you for recording with me. How lovely. Kami, I'd love to have you back on here whenever. We'll have to talk about that if you're interested.
Mm-hmm. Hit me up.
Absolutely will. Everybody, take care. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. That was Good Idea, and any act of intention is a magical act. We're done here. No, it's yes, it is gross, but we are going to chant it.
Slippery.
You know what this sounds like?
What does it sound like?
It's the seagulls on Finding Nemo. They go mine. That's what it fucking sounds like.
Slippery snakes sliding down the water slide towards the children. Slippery.
Wonderful.
Slippery.
And wonderful. It's wonderful.
It's wonderful. Sea of bad opinions.
Slippery sea of bad opinions.
Slippery bad opinions.
Slippery sea of cynical opinions.
Ooh.
Slippery, cynical opinions of the sea slide slickly
The children.
toward the children.
God.
The children take the bad opinions from the ocean. Poor children, they take the bad opinions and they mix them with the good opinions, and they create whole new bastardized opinions.
Mm-hmm. That's how you get Gamergate.
That's how you get Gamergate. It's all a slippery slope towards Gamergate. Slippery.
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 I'm starting to feel bad for picking that word.
Hi, I'm Slip Perry.
Hello, Slip Perry. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. I just wanted to mention, though, your floor is kind of slippery.
My floor is kind of slippery, Slip Perry. Slip Perry, there's some lovely children over there. You should glide gently towards them.
On your, you want me, Slip Perry, to glide gently on your slippery
gently, yes. On
floor,
my slippery floor
toward the children?
Yes.
And what am I doing?
Just gliding towards them.
Okay.
Gently.
Am I, do I put on a cape? Is that, I came here for a job. What is this job?
I'm asking you to glide gently towards the children.
Okay, how much does this pay?
You can put on a cape if you like. How much does it pay?
How much does this pay?
$3 per slide.
I'll do it.
Yes.
$3 per slide.
$3 per slide.
Okay. Wow.
Mommy, why is that strange man sliding toward us? I don't like this place.
And 1, 2, 3, here I go. Wee!
Ah!
That's $3
I'm actually
right
here
there.
from the sliding union. I believe y'all should be paying them a bit more than $3 per slide.
Shit, it's the feds.
It's the feds. Everybody, close your big books. Closed.
Closed.
Closed. All of them are closed.
Wait, I thought there was a slide situation going on here. I think I might have the wrong address. I'm gonna get going. I'm sorry for disturbing y'all.
All right, I feel like we're all warmed up now.
Perfect.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
We're all warm and slippery.
We're all
Gross.
warm and slippery.
Don't
We're
like
all
that.
warm and slippery.
Don't like that.
I'm gonna yuck on that, young.
This episode is really interesting too because it just sort of ends.